A one and a two and a chick-a-boom a chick.
All right, folks, welcome to Remodelers on the Rise. Ooh, I even already have a serious tone. We're kind of in serious time right now. This is being recorded on Monday, March 23rd, 2020. And if you're a longtime listener of Remodelers on the Rise, Tony Woodall with Rootstock would come to mind. Hi, Tony.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Because back last year, we did a couple nice episodes related to disc assessments. Right?
We did. It was great. It was fun.
And they were great. And if you listen to it, we're kind of having fun, we're playful, and we're just joking around. And frankly, I think it's just we'll probably still joke around a little bit, but I'm feeling it. Everybody's kind of feeling it. We just got an executive order here in the state of Michigan where non-essential services are going to be shut down. This is a time that people have just a lot of concern, a lot of worry, a lot of fear, a lot of unknown. We don't know what this is going to look like. And I got an email from Tony last week, and we went back and forth a little bit. And I said, you know what, why don't we record an episode specifically about these 5 things that you hit on in this article that is titled 5 Keys to Leading Well in a Crisis. So that's what today's podcast is about. Don't hold back. If you feel like some humor, like even after that intro, Tony, we still can be playful. People need some levity in amongst this too.
I totally agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to get into these 5 things, but before we get into it, tell us how these 5 keys kind of came to be. You have a little bit of a backstory on that.
Yeah. Even though, and by the way, hi, Kyle.
Oh, hi.
I really can genuinely say that over since we did that podcast together last year, I've really gotten to know you really well, and I've gotten to know some of your clients really well too. And I just love who you serve, and I love what you do, and I just want to help any way I can. So I really thank you for putting me on with you again.
Pause there though. One thing that I would interject. I think with this being the 3rd, you may tie for the most appearances on Remodelers on the Rise with Vicky Suter. So congratulations on that. Wow,
thank you.
And then number 2, you had mentioned when we were talking before we started the recording about leaders. And I just wanted to pump that in there real quick. In times like these, we need to be good leaders. So all you remodelers listening to this, now is the time to lead well.
Yes.
That's all I wanted to say there. We might even say that multiple times during this conversation, but lead well. Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. So when I started to work on thinking about this crisis, it was the week before last week. I have, friends in New York and people in California, and just started feeling the coasts. And at first I thought it was kind of maybe an overreaction, but then I started to get into it more. I'm like, no, this is really serious. And being in Chicago myself, we tend things tend to hit us faster than like Michigan or the Midwest. Mm-hmm. And so week before last, toward the end of the week, I began to see some things. And so my tagline for my company and the reason why I started Rootstock was to help leaders navigate change and thrive. So here we are facing the largest change in my lifetime. How about you, Kyle? Anything bigger than this? I don't know.
Probably not. You're way older. You're an old man too, so I'm that's saying
old.
Something.
Yeah, and so it was probably about Wednesday of the week before last. I began to
I made a joke there, and you were like, 1, you didn't evidently think it was that funny, or 2, you're buying into this whole we can't joke around too much, Kyle. I'm serious here.
I look at my gray hair, Kyle.
Man, if I had gray hair like that, I could charge so much more.
That's wisdom. That
is wisdom, hard-earned wisdom. So you're looking at this. Carry on.
And so I just got my hands on every crisis management article I could find. Harvard Business Review has a lot of good stuff, Princeton Review, a lot of good sources. And I just read and just kind of put it away in between doing things and working. And then I just went and synthesized all that. And I also talked to an emergency communications response expert in the middle of it. And I put together the 5 keys to leading well in a crisis.
Perfect. Yeah. And I think that's interesting. One where, your tagline of your business of leading well through change has had a totally different meaning over the last few years as you've been getting that up and running versus now. And I think all of us are a little, I guess if we were full out in business when 9/11 happened, that was definitely a crisis and a situation that happened that shook everything. but that's been a long time ago. And this one's it's also just it brings about other uniqueness, to the situation. It's definitely a crisis. So you have these 5. Let's go through these 5. And my hopes is that these 5 things will be helpful to the remodelers listening. So I'll read each of them as we go, and then I'd like you to kind of riff and add your 2 cents on it, and we'll cruise through these 5. So number 1, keys to leading well in a crisis: stay close to good sources and have credible understanding.
Yeah, and I think you might be even reading from one that's a little bit. I iterated it one time, but that's pretty close for number 1.
Okay.
Yeah, stay close to good credible sources, and really, I mean, what's really important and what I found over the past week, and I think I was telling you, Kyle, that I've been on the phone for like 14 or 15 hours a day since last Sunday. So what I'm finding on that number 1 is obviously the CDC and the government and your local governments, they have credible information in regards to, constraints on the hospital network. They're giving us executive orders right now. And so staying close to those sources is really important. Also, staying close to your local chambers. They're very, very quick to give you information on, if you're a small business, here's some things you can do to protect yourself now. Mm-hmm. Here's some programs that are being rolled out. So your local chambers are big, and then
seeing that with home builder associations too.
Home Builders Association, and then in terms of so macro, right? We have like everything from the CDC on down to your chamber, and then at the micro level, you have experts in your field. And so, I would say that you, Kyle, are an expert in the field of remodelers. You are saying things. You're bringing people like me on right now. So, like, you're also a credible source. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And not so much because I'm an expert at everything that's going on, but because today I've talked to 20 remodelers who are experiencing different things. And, Pennsylvania is a week ahead of Michigan. And because I am tied in with that, I'm giving my Michiganders, either one, advice. So yes, we need to make sure we're watching that. And then I guess the other side of that is we got to be careful not to just follow sources that are not very helpful in this whole crisis.
There are conspiracy theorists out there right now. Everything from aliens to it's not really real. My wife is a emergency healthcare worker. It's real.
Yeah. So. There you go. So stay close to good sources that have credible understanding. Since I may have iteration 1 versus what you have, why don't you read each of them going forward?
Okay. Yeah.
I have the one that our boy T. Simpson, sent over. So it
Shout
may be an early version. T-Simp, yes.
Yeah. The second one is really interesting, and it's move fast, but don't hurry. And I've gotten a lot of questions about that over the past week. Basically, what it means is, okay, here's the hard thing about where we are right now. Things are changing very quickly. And you have to move fast, and you have to respond. But you can't hurry. Because if you hurry, if you get into panic mode, then you will not make good decisions, or you'll over decide. You'll make decisions too quickly. So I actually, a friend of mine, Dave Larson, who is an ex-military guy, and he's also like an emergency response communicator, helped me understand this concept called the OODA loop. You ever heard of that?
Mm-mm.
The OODA loop is what's used in the military. You can imagine in the military that you have to respond quickly, but not in a hurry because people die, right? And so they're the best at disaster response that's thoughtful is the best way to describe it. But the OODA loop, which is in the military, it means to observe. Okay, it means observe, orient, decide, then act. So you want to observe what's coming at you. You want to get your bearings. You got to make a decision, and then you have to act. And that's a really, really good rational way to make decisions as you go. Before we even started pushing the record button, you were talking about what decisions need to be made now. Some decisions do need to be made and need to be made quickly, but they have to be thoughtful. They have to be thoughtful. So go fast, but don't be in a hurry.
I like it. So number 1, keys to leading well in a crisis. That's what we're talking about. Stay close to good sources, all the way from the macro down to the micro. Number 2, move fast, don't hurry. What's number 3?
Number 3 is to balance real expectations with a hopeful outcome. right now, if you have staff, if you have people working for you, everyone's coming to you and they're saying, when's it going to get back to normal? Can you ensure that I will have a job tomorrow? They're trying to ask you for a lot, and you just don't have a lot of the answers right now. And so you have to give them real information. One of the things that I tell clients to do is to tell them in real time what you're taking in and processing. Just tell them what you're processing. It's not an answer that they need right away, but it helps them understand your world a little bit. But you have to be real. The reality of this thing, you can't hide it. You can't Pollyannish your way through this. You have to keep this in a real frame. At the same time, though, I'm going to go ahead and assume, Kyle, that this is not a zombie apocalypse, that we're going to get through this, and that if we make good decisions, and if we trust each other, and if we move together through this crisis, we're going to come out of this thing, and we're going to be better than we were before. And that's not only true, that's something that people need to hear. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to be real right now, but you also have to be able to bring hope.
Yeah. And so much of that energy, that positivity, is something that a lot of entrepreneurs come to naturally. But I was on the phone here with one of my Michigan-based remodeler circle groups, and we're all trying to make sense of what does this mean? We're non-essential services. And I was watching some people that are just kind of scared and frustrated and upset, and, thinking of the ramifications to their team and that they care about and they want to take care of. But out of that, how do we present all of that to our team? What you said of just, you don't have to have the answers, but talk about what you're looking at. We're evaluating this. We're trying to understand if we go this direction with it versus that direction. I will keep you updated. I will keep you posted. And sometimes it feels a little disingenuous to kind of say, it's going to be okay. And I'll take this a certain direction, a serious direction. But one of our old pastors who he actually passed away last year, I was at a hospital visiting a buddy whose daughter was in for a major heart surgery. And the pastor came in and amongst other things, he just said, it's going to be okay. I just know it's going to be okay. And when he left, the wife and the mom was kind of like, how can he say that? He doesn't know that. Now, I'm not going to take this in, although we would both love to take this in the direction of faith. We're just going to take this into the literal words. Sometimes just a reassurance of it's going to be okay. Even just when we think about this, this isn't the end of the world. This is not, like you said, the zombie apocalypse. No. The frustrating part is we don't know if it's going to last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 7 weeks, 6 weeks. That's very frustrating, but it's going to be okay. We're going to get, whether it's some vaccines, whether it's going to run its course, whether it's through the steps we're taking, it's going to knock down the level of spread. It's gonna be okay. And we need to say that to reassure ourselves. And we also our team needs to hear that. They need to hear some optimism in amongst everything.
Yeah. All while being real. I mean, we can't,
Yeah.
We're watching the news and we're watching, but while being real, something else too, Kyle, in terms of making decisions and not making decisions before you have to make them. I'm going back to number 3 a little bit. I'm on number 3.
Actually, we're not going back to number 3 because
we're still number 3.
Listen, I've got I've got control of this. I know what number we're at, so you just don't worry about that, okay?
All right, so maybe going back to number 2.
Did I just give you a hopeful, optimistic viewpoint on that?
Are we going to be
or was that just condescending?
Are we going to be okay, Kyle?
We're going to be fine. We're going to make it through, Tony. We're going to make it through all 5 points. I'm leading us. We got this.
Going back to number 2, going fast but not being in a hurry. We are going to be tempted to make decisions we don't have to make today. The government is throwing so much money and resource at this. If you can hold off on decisions with staff and investment, hold off. Because you don't know what it's going to be. Why would you want to scare your people if you don't know what decision you have to make yet? Hold that information in real time.
Yeah. And it's also the burden of knowledge. If you need to, if you might need to do some of those things, your whole team doesn't need to know the worst case scenarios that could happen, right? Exactly. Keep that on your shoulders, deal with it, as the owner of the business, and try to protect them best you can while being realistic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right. Number 4 is what?
Adapt to new information. And that's every morning. That's every day. We are getting new information every day. I mean, it's crazy, right? I mean, but you have to take in the new information. Again, you have to observe the information. You have to orient yourself to it. You have to make decisions when you have to make them, and you have to act. And it's going to be different every day. And here's a really, really awesome, maybe one of the top 100 most important things I ever said to you, Kyle. Are you sitting down? Oh, you're not.
No, actually, I'm standing up. If you're watching the video, you'll notice I'm not moving.
One of the most important things is, as a leader, is to help people know that things will change. Things will change. We're going to have to roll with the punches. That is a talking point that you have to keep bringing up. I'm working with a client right now. It's a very dynamic ecosystem. It's a private high school. Everything's virtual now, and it's a big high school. And there's one of their staff members that really tries to control the message a lot. And I'm just like, if you want to control the message, I get it. You have a lot of stakeholders, but one of the points that you have to put in there is that things will change without notice sometimes. Mm-hmm. So just even telling people that things will change gets them set up to win when it comes time to change.
Okay, love it.
I don't know if it was that important, but
no, it's good. That's great. That's good. I mean, things change, and especially what you wrote underneath that one of things change very quickly in a crisis. It's fluid, and what the other thing I read into that is just communicate. That's the thing that's just been ringing in my head is with our existing clients, with projects, if you're a remodeler, with projects that are coming up, with your existing team. You can't over communicate right now, especially with your team. There's just so much worry, concern, and it's day by day. To adapt to that information and just communicate. All right. So 5 keys to leading well in a crisis. Number 1 was stay close to good sources. Number 2, move fast. Don't hurry. You talked about like OODA. Observe, orient, decide, and act. Okay. Yeah. Number 3 was balance real expectations with a hopeful outcome. Yeah. Number 4, adapt to new information. And number 5, which was last but certainly not least, was what?
Demonstrate self-control. We have to be calm in these situations. I remember like listening to some like old World War II stories of people who were getting attacked from all fronts, right? And they would tell stories about their commander or about their general or whoever, who was just very tactical and very calm and just kept methodically going. That really teaches us a lot about leadership. No matter what's coming at you, leadership, if anything, you're getting paid to keep your head on straight. That's what you're getting paid to do. And if you can rise above your own fear and rise above your own emotional mind frame and just get into that space of leader and understand that people are looking to you and you can bring calm or you can bring chaos, and it's really an honor to lead people, I think you can actually keep your head in a good space and lead from a place of rationality. Part of that is to make sure that you get rest. Like sleep when the baby sleeps.
Yeah.
I made the mistake yesterday of texting a couple clients, and they're like, Tony, it's Sunday. I need a break. I'm like, you know what? Absolutely. And they probably quoted back to me my number 5 point on this list,
Right.
But really we have to stay in a frame because, I think I forgot who it was who said that weariness makes cowards of us all.
Okay.
So we have
if you don't know, I've never heard that quote before. Why don't you just take it for yourself? As I've said before.
I think it was either like a famous like baseball manager or I'll have to find it. But basically when you get tired, you make bad decisions and then you make more bad decisions. So we have to take care of ourselves. There's self-care in there because we have to lead with a clear head. And so whatever you have to do to get a break, take a deep breath. I actually practice yoga. I'm thankful for that. So I just keep my head on straight and leading from a place of strength and leading from a place of rationality. That's what leaders do.
Yeah. And I think that, I kind of wanted to keep this podcast just real simple, like focus on these 5 things. Cause I think in amongst all of and kind of keep it brief so that people can consume it in amongst all of the chaos. These are just good. Like what you said, Kyle, I took 50 kind of articles. I just read, and I kind of synthesized it down into these 5 points. These are the foundational, fundamental, simple things that we need to be reminded of as leaders. Even that last thing of just, hey, I don't know if you feel like it or not, but you are a leader as the owner of your business or as a manager within a business. We need to remember that we need to lead well. What does it look like to lead well right now? And I think all 5 of these points are what that is. Good. What else? What else comes to mind? What else is on your mind, sir?
I've been helping a lot of clients take an assessment of their skills and of their people and look at how they can repivot for the real needs that are out there. Man, I wish I would have bought Zoom stock 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, honestly, Kyle, there are opportunities. I read something today. It's not time to panic. It's time to innovate, And so I've been doing a lot of innovation sessions. I use strategies called human-centered design. We've talked about human-centered design before. Human-centered design is an innovation strategy method set. And I've been doing a lot of that too. So helping people keep above the tree line and lead well and make good decisions and just being a sounding board for them. And then helping people pivot. That's what I've been doing for the last week and a half.
Good. You mentioned yoga. One of the things my wife is doing as everybody's home is we have done 2 sessions of family yoga.
I would pay to watch that.
My left shoulder blade has a knot like you wouldn't believe. I didn't sleep very well last night because of it, and I think it's because of the different poses and things we're doing.
Oh, good for you, Kyle.
Any tips?
Just breathe.
Just breathe. Okay, good to know. If people want to reach out to you in case they kind of want to have another kind of outlet or somebody to talk to or to think through things, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can get a hold of me at T Woodall, TWOOD as in dog, ALL, at iRootstock, the letter I, rootstock.com. They can call me at 630. What is my number, Kyle? 338
6018. I'm just reading it.
Thank you.
6303. Did you actually need to know?
I kind of forgot in a moment. Yeah.
Yeah. 630-338-6018.
Yeah. They can call and reach out. Love to talk to them.
Good. Folks, the reason we recorded this is in hopes that it would be helpful and to help you keep your head on straight as you're leading through these crises that we're in. We hope that everything is helpful to you that you heard and that you're healthy and realizing that we don't know exactly how long it's going to take, but we're going to make it through it. Keep that positive optimism going. And this is a wonderful opportunity to lead your team and your business well as we're in the middle of this. That's it. I think that's it, Tony.
All right, cool.
All right. Talk to you all again soon on the Remodelers on the Rise podcast.
Thank you.